Hi everyone, it's Rose, and today I just wanted to talk about gender. This is a conversation that I've been having with so many people for a long time, and I'm finally just gathering everything and putting it into one concise thought, because it's been so hard for me to wrap my mind around why am I allowed to identify as a woman without taking away from the experience of other women, cisgender or trans or not. My opinions on the definition or how to kind of make sense of the term gender has changed a lot throughout my transition and throughout different points in my life. When I was first figuring out my gender confusion and going through and researching what it is to be trans and what is gender, I kind of took a more philosophical approach and read a lot of books on the idea of what is gender. When analyzing the history of gender, it's so new. This idea of unpackaging the term gender only started a few decades ago. It was feminists, it was queers, it was femmes, it was trans people, drag queens, and cross-dressers who were trying to figure out what is gender, how do we define it, where did it come from? Just like identity or race or all these other things, gender is just a social construct. It was really, really hard for me to come to the conclusion that I'm a woman because it just didn't sit right with me at first. At first, I totally thought that I was more gender nonconforming or non-binary or just agender. I really didn't believe in gender for a minute. Also understand that without language, we don't have understanding. Everything that we experience in our world and everything that we can know and learn comes through language first. We have to filter all of our thoughts and everything we know through language in order to communicate and understand and teach abstract, difficult concepts such as gender. That's what was so hard for me to understand, I feel at the beginning of transitioning, was because I didn't want to have a label for everything. I find it so tumultuous to have to fit into this box and to have to say, I'm this, I'm that, these are all my labels. And it just gets so overwhelming sometimes because I just want to be me. I am me first. I'm Rose first before anything else. And I just so happen to be trans. I so happen to be Hispanic. I so happen to be a makeup artist, filmmaker. All of these attributes about myself are just small pieces that all build up who I am. And so the reason that we had to come up with this idea of gender and why I feel like gender is so important to me is because we do live in a physical world. We don't live in this utopian philosophical realm where gender just doesn't exist, because gender matters in our world. And so it's important to label womanhood, because while womanhood doesn't mean one thing at all, womanhood can encompass so many types of different people, of different bodies, of different expressions, different clothing, different traits and likes and dislikes, and that's okay because everyone experiences their gender differently from one another. But those who are femmes, people of color, people who are attracted to people with bodies like their own, like homosexuals, and people who are trans who don't fit into society's expectations of gender are treated worse than in our society and have throughout all of history. So we need to be able to gather around a term to identify with in order to fight back against the oppression that we're facing for existing the way that we want to. Trans women of color living in this world have a 1 in 8 chance of being murdered and a life expectancy of only 35 years old. Gender is still really important to me, and my womanhood matters to me, and that's something that's real for me. And while I do think that I'm kind of a genderqueer woman, just because I'm not a cis woman, I'm very queer in everything that I do. I always will be. I am not attracted to body parts. I'm attracted to people. And I feel the same way about myself. My body is just a vessel that carries me in this world, and I don't need to fit into your expectations of what I need to do because of my body or because of how I identify. The reason that I feel like we kind of came up with this idea of gender and the categories of womanhood and manhood Unfortunately, they are so binary because the majority of the population do have specific characteristics in their sexual organs that then we as a society kind of expected certain characteristics and traits onto. And that's not to say that every human fits into that binary, because our physical bodies don't. There are over 32 different combinations of chromosomes that can create just different types of men, women, and people based off of just chromosomes alone. And that's not including our hormones or development or any of our mental capacity or like, you know, this metaphysical like soul or id or your identity, who you are inside, however you want to label that or identify that. We are who we are outside of our bodies, and we are our bodies as well. Our bodies, I feel like, are just a vessel for our souls or for our identities to experience the world. Our bodies should not be labeled or categorized in ways that they are. I never liked the term like born in the wrong body, or that your body is wrong and that you need to fix it. Like, I feel like I used to kind of say those words to describe how I felt because I didn't have words that were better, and I wanted to fit into this like expectation of like, you're trans now, this is how you should feel. Like, I wanted to feel trans enough, and I wanted to feel included in my community because I didn't feel accepted in the cisgender community. So anyway, moving forward, I love my body though, because my body has gotten me here. My body is so good to me. My body feeds me and gives me energy. I'm able to hug people and run and taste things. My body has served me so well my whole life long. But that doesn't mean that I appreciate how society labels my body or enforces certain expectations because of how my body looks or behaves, because my body is my own and I can label my body how I wish. People with my body are allowed to express themselves in ways that our society doesn't expect. You can identify however you wish, and you can dress however you want. While I am like a high femme person, I feel like I, at the beginning of my transition, so overcompensated with my femininity because I feel like I'm more genderqueer than I typically like present myself, because I want to be able to be safe and I want to be identified as feminine because that's who I am and that's what I enjoy. But with that being said, like, I've been lately trying to find ways to kind of change my appearance, because while I understand that I'm safer when I'm passing as a cisgender woman, I don't want to pass as a cisgender woman because that's not who I am. I'm very, very vocal about being trans. I love being trans. And sometimes I hate being trans, but it's who I am and I can't change that. And I want people to be able to recognize who I am. I don't ever want to deceive someone. And my opinions on surgery have changed a lot lately. I used to want like every surgery that there was. I used to want to get rid of my Adam's apple and shave down my forehead, minimize my nose, get breast augmentation, all these things that I now feel like I just don't need and I don't think I really want. Like, this is just a push-up bra, but I still am so happy with the progress that my body has made through hormone replacement therapy. I'm so happy with how I look lately. I have just been living for myself, and I have never been like this confident and like this like content with myself. I guess like I'm just feeling more secure than ever because I've been focusing on finding happiness within myself and not in others. And it has just changed so much within myself. It's just so wonderful. And so through that, I've like been able to say like, I'm beautiful the way I am. Like, I don't need FFS. I don't need facial feminization surgery, and I don't need to do anything because I'm perfect and I'm valid the way that I am, and I can experience life so wonderfully and happily in the body that I was born in, and that is a huge thing for me. It is revolutionary to say out loud. This is just the conclusion that I'm at right now. I feel like my identity can still always change. I feel like We often, like when talking about people who are trans and who want to go through some sort of like physical transition, a lot of people like talk about like the beginning and end of transition. And I feel like there's been more of a movement lately on like combating that idea of like before and after, because I feel like as humans we're always changing, evolving, and transitioning in different ways. I feel like we never come to an end point until we die, and even when we die, I feel like we were not ever at an end point. That's just where our life stopped. I am more comfortable with where I'm at now than I ever have been, but that's not to say that I won't be changing how I look or how I identify in the future, because I don't know what can happen. I feel like I'm always learning things, I'm always doing research and trying to grow and become a better person. So who knows where I'll be at in a year, 5 years, 10 years, 50 years. I feel like I've just always done the best that I can with the knowledge that I have had. And I've been denied knowledge, I have lacked language in order to gain knowledge, and so that really affects my life and my identity, and I feel like there's still so much more for me to learn and grow and change about myself. But I'm just really happy with where I'm at right now, and so we'll see what happens in the future. How do I do these again? Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on other social media platforms.